So today I'm going to tell you about the story of the three P's. To give a little bit of context, at that time I was receiving messages in my head for people, usually my close ones, family members, friends, etc. Very specific messages that actually were of a good use for them. There was something that was important for them. And in order to receive these messages, I needed to be in quiet spaces, no noise, just concentrating on my thoughts and making sure that I would stop my own thoughts and see what comes. So that was my process at that time. And so I was very often going into churches because churches are quiet. So I get into this one church that day, and I have the number 3 and the letter P that comes in mind. 3P, 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 3P. I don't know what it is. It's kind of weird because usually I get like full sentences, I get like full context, I get like not just one number and one letter. And every time I would turn around and look at specific elements in the church, I would see a P engraved on the back of a chair in the church. I would turn around and I would see like 3 candles. I would turn around, like 3 and P were just coming in my visuals in addition as in my mind. So I'm like trying to figure out what these are. 3P, 3Ps, like what could this be? And as I'm doing this and I'm concentrating, there is this autistic kid, well, teenager, probably around 13 or 14 years old, coming into the church, going from the entrance to the altar and like just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on the main alley. And I'm just like thinking 3P, 3P, what could it be? 3P. And the kid, well, the teenager, he comes and he stops right at my level. He turns and looks straight at me and he yells in the church. He yells, the 3P! And my heart started pounding so strongly. He goes back towards the altar and he just keeps going like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And at first I was like, this kid, this teenager, he's reading in my mind. Like, he's reading in my mind. Like, I was very, very scared. But I just like, I could not move at that point. And he came back, so he keeps like going back and forth. He comes back, he stops again at my level. He turns to me, he looks at me and he asks, can you hear the woman singing? And I'm like, no. And he just turns around and keeps walking. At that point, I thought, okay, Diana, maybe that kid, that teenager, he's not actually seeing your thoughts, but instead, he's actually picking up on 3P. He knows that I picked up on 3Ps too. And he's picking up also on a lady, a woman who is singing, and he thinks that I can hear her too, that I was able to pick that up too, but it wasn't. And so I start to like calm down a little bit and be like, I think this kid somehow like is really picking up on the same information. Maybe it's a theory, I'm just launching theories at that point. So he keeps coming back and forth. He comes back at my level again, ask me, you cannot hear the woman singing, you cannot hear her? And I'm like, no, I cannot hear her. And he goes like, the 3P, 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 3P. And I'm like, what are the 3P? And he said, the 3 priests. And he turns around, goes back toward the altar, turns around somewhere in the church. That I did not see him again after that. So I stood up because way too many emotions for me at that point. I stood up. I leave the church. And, I thought that, okay, he talked about 3 priests. I was in a church. I'm going to see if I can find any information about like priests in this particular church, which I did. And I was amazed to see that churches had websites. I was like, God is digital, you know? So I get onto the church website. It says that they had, in this specific church, they had 6 priests. So I was like, okay. I click on the link to see the 6 priests. Only 3 appears. The other 3, like, internet did not want to show me their faces nor their names. I refreshed the page, I went back, came again, like tried everything to see all 6 of them. Only these specific 3 were showing up. So I thought that typically these 3, there's something about it. And I talked about it to some of my like family members and friends who knew what was going on with me, with all this mystical stuff and all the spirituality, all that thing. Like they knew about that. And so I told them about the story, and everybody had their own opinion. Like one was like, you have to do these 3 prayers, and the other one was like, you have to burn 3 candles and recite this, and everybody had their own opinion. But I was like, I feel so strongly within myself that I have a message to give to these 3 priests. And everybody tried to like get me not to do it. They were like, are you what are you going to tell them? And I was like, I don't know. They were like, exactly. You're going to go see people and tell them that you do not know. You have a message for them, but you do not know what the message is. I'm like, yeah, I cannot not go. It is, I have to go. And one of my friends, she said, do you actually realize that at some point in the past, priests, they used to burn women who would come and said that they were hearing stuff in their head. I was like, yeah, that's true. But I really had to go. So I went to the church this one day where one of the 3 priests was actually keeping the confession parlor. And I get there and he's like, good morning, are you here to confess? I'm like, not really, I'm here to give a message. And he's like, okay, what is the message? I'm like, I don't know. But if you, priest no and priest are actually doing something particular, I thought that maybe it was a message from me saying that, hey Diana, go help these 3 priests in their humanitarian action, in their like, whatever. I asked him, I was like, if the 3 of you, like specifically just you 3 priests, are actually doing a specific action, humanitarian or like, I don't know, but I'm willing to help if you guys need help. And he's like, we're not doing anything particular, the 3 of us. No. And I was feeling very, very bad. He could feel that I was feeling bad, and so he tried to like make it sound like it was not a big deal. He was like, okay, tell me about yourself. And so I started talking. He asked me where I was coming from, what I was doing. At that time I was working with her travel agency, and so he talks with me a little bit, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna have to let you go because I have other things to do. I'm like, yeah, sorry for wasting your time. He's like, no, it's okay. I was starting to leave the church, and I'm walking towards the front entrance to leave. And he comes back running after me. He's like, wait. That thing that we are supposed to do, the 3 of us, wouldn't it be a trip? A specific trip? And I was like, I have no idea. And he smiled. He smiled like, oh. He looked at me. He said, thank you for this message. That indeed was a very important message. He did not tell me more. I did not ask. I was glad that, it helped. And I mean, it's none of my business, so I never ask when things like that come up. It's none of my business. I'm just the middle woman, you know, passing on passing on messages. That's all I do. But yeah, so that was the story of the 3P.